Hello everybody, and welcome back to my beta 11_2 world. I am currently making a few axes because I'm going to be chopping down some trees that are over here in this area of my little compound, I guess you could say. So far, I've chopped down a decent amount of trees on this side and over here, but I want to get this massive chunk of trees taken care of. This is just a complete cluster of a couple large trees and a couple small trees, and kind of extends out to over here. Like I said, I started chopping over here down. My plan, I think, is to right here build a little minecart station. Now, the reason why I want to build a minecart station is because I want to have a minecart that takes me through this mountain and over to this other side of land over here. It's not really easy to see right now because it's nighttime, but over there on that side, there is an excess amount of flatter terrain. It's not insanely flat, but it's a lot flatter than this over here and a lot less trees. And I'm thinking over there, I want to make some kind of mining facility. I'm a really big fan of digging out just chunks straight down. And I think that's what I would like to do over here. Have maybe a couple chunks taken out and build like a little operation. I don't really have too many ideas, but I think it would be a better way for me to get an excess amount of cobblestone and other ore than it would be strip mining. Obviously, strip mining, you yield a lot of stone and other materials, but I think if I had just one area where I could just mine out a bunch of cobblestone, it'd be kind of a lot easier. Now, I don't want it to be anything big. I might just build like a tiny little building with some chests in it, and maybe dig a separate part down that will lead to strip mines, and then the other parts will be a couple chunks digging down. But I really don't have a plan, and I think that's what I like a lot about playing on this version, is that it's very forgiving when it comes to building off the whim. I really like this kind of hallway here. I haven't put anything here yet, but I might add some little pieces of foliage in flowers and stuff like that over here. Just little details coming out to this side. I still don't have full plans for what I'm going to build in here yet, but I do like this hallway that leads out to this almost kind of garden area. Like I said, I wanted to keep this little pond. I don't know what I want to build in here entirely yet. For right now, I just want to get some of these trees chopped and start building this minecart station. Now, I do have a pretty decent amount of cobblestone at the moment, but to build this minecart station, I'm going to need a little bit more cobblestone. So I think what I'm going to do right now for the time being is go strip mining. I also want to organize my inventory just a little bit better. I have stuff kind of everywhere, and I am going to take another couple cooked pork chops with me just in case I run into any other caves. Now, for the most part, I think I am pretty ready to go strip mining. I'm not going to show too much of me strip mining, considering the fact that the last video on this world was pretty much a full mining video, so I don't want to bore you guys too much with that. But here and there, I'm definitely going to interject. Just mining, and I happen to run right into some diamonds. Kind of funny considering the fact that pretty much out of the entire video of me caving, I only found a few diamonds. But 2 is not that bad. I'll always take some diamonds. Recently, I've been really getting into watching like old tech videos on YouTube. I don't know, something about them I find very kind of therapeutic just to throw on kind of in the background or really watch. I'm really interested in a lot of old tech. I'm kind of a nerd for it. Something kind of fascinates me about how stuff was made back then or how computer operating systems worked back then. It's just something I find kind of neat. And even now, I myself like to take apart and build computers and stuff like that. Now, most of the computers that I build or kind of take apart are newer computers, but I definitely have had my fair share of older machines that I've worked on. And something about them, like I said, is kind of neat. I just find it very fascinating to see how every component was back then and how far we've kind of progressed. One of my favorite channels to watch right now at the moment is LGR. Recently, at least, I've been playing a lot of Minecraft, and on my second monitor, I'll throw up an LGR video and kind of, I'll find myself stopping what I'm doing in my world and just watching. It's very fascinating and interesting to learn about old computer operating systems or parts or how everything worked back then. I feel like there was a very specific way of doing things, and there's a certain level of nostalgia, I guess, to these old computers. Kind of reminds me of my childhood and growing up. Now, kind of on the topic of YouTubers I like to watch, one of the big YouTubers I like to watch, especially kind of have on as like background noise, is Outdoor Boys. And recently, as of a few days ago, he had posted on his channel that he would be retiring from it. And I know a lot of people, including myself, are very upset about this, because I love those kind of videos, especially kind of in the same aspect of the LGR videos. I find them as something I can kind of put on in the background and not really have to pay full attention to. But every time I find myself kind of getting caught in the moment because everything's so interesting. And that definitely has been a channel that I've always thrown on or even fallen asleep to. And I'm very sad that he's going to be shutting down the channel for now. But I understand his reasonings. You know, he's a family man. He's got to spend time with his family. And YouTube was kind of just like a second thing for him. Not expecting to become so big, you know. But eventually, I do have a feeling that he'll probably return, but who knows, you know. Life has its ways, and sometimes, you know, you grow apart from things and you have other stuff you gotta take care and worry about. But it's very sad. Alright, I think this should be enough cobblestone for now, especially including the cobblestone that I have in my chest. And if I need to get more, I can come back down here. Oh, there's a little bit of gold. Let me collect that. But like I was saying, if I need to, I'll come back down and collect a little bit more stone. Now, what I want to do is I want to get some of this stone smelted up. Oh, a little bit of iron in there. But I want to get some of this stone melted up because I want to have some smooth stone to work into this minecart station. So pretty much most of the stone that I had just mined, I'm going to throw in here. But like I said, I have more in this chest down here. So I'm kind of going to use whatever I have for now. And if I need to get some more, I will. Now I'm going to go ahead and get this mess of trees taken care of. Get them chopped down so it's not such a cluster. I find this kind of interesting with generation. They all decided they wanted to generate all right next to each other. This one's kind of cool how it overhangs this little lake. Lighting up. Ooh, hello there, friend. That kind of scared me right there. But I'm kind of lighting this area up, though, first, just so that nothing like that can kind of sneak up on me. Oh, I never realized, because I'm looking at this now, how flat this side wall is of my little island here. That's kind of cool. I like that. All right, so I finally got that clump of trees dealt with. Now, I think I'm gonna probably dig this down a little bit just to kind of match the ground with this area here, and then work up a little bit of an outline for this. But I think I'm gonna go make one more shovel before I continue this. Ooh, sheep. Alright, so while all that stone is smelting too, I'm gonna make a bunch of slabs. I feel like slabs is another one of my favorite blocks in this version. In my last video, I talked about mossy cobble being my favorite block, and while I do think it is my favorite block, I think my second block has to be stone slabs. Something about it, I just feel like I use it a lot for builds. I don't think I ever have really any builds now that don't incorporate stone slabs. I think it's just such a very versatile block, especially in older Minecraft, because there's not very many blocks to use compared to newer versions. But that being said, it does have to be one of my favorites. Now, another thing though is that it's kind of a pain to work with. It's not necessarily hard to work with, but sometimes, because of the way they are coded in this early versions, it's sometimes not ideal to build with, especially when you're building like beams and columns and stuff out of it. Because if you ever want to terraform below it, like let's say if I wanted to dig around this, I would have to delete this entire column just to place the slabs back. So it is a little bit difficult sometimes. So you kind of have to think ahead when you use slabs, but it's really not that big of a deal. It's definitely got to be one of my favorite blocks though to use in old Minecraft. But mossy cobble is definitely, I think, still my favorite block, especially when I use them together. Like this right here, just using it as a little bit of detail for the floor or the base of the sugarcane farm along with the stone slab posts. I think this looks really good. Now for this minecart station, I definitely want to have two different entrances. I want one entrance to be facing this way and another entrance to be facing this way. I think that this side though is going to be the main facade for the entire building, and just this way, I mean, it's going to be kind of a continuation of that, but it's really just going to be a side entrance just so I can access around here when I want to. And I will build, I think, a little path around at some point. But I definitely want to have multiple entrances, just those two, and then I think I'm going to have another one that leads down this way, maybe a door that leads to a staircase down here. Now, I do want this to be 2 floors. One floor, I want to put like maybe a little cafe at the bottom and a little seating area, something that like if you went to an airport or an actual train station, sometimes they have little areas where you can buy food. Mostly in airports though. I don't think really any modern train station has anything like that. It's all kind of like subway systems in big cities, and they don't really have too many of that. But the main idea is you'll enter in, and the first floor will be where you can have a seating area, you can get some food, get some coffee, get some tea, get some water. Really nothing too crazy, just to kind of do to pass time while you wait for your train. And then the second floor is going to be kind of like the main floor almost, where you will board your train and go to the little station. Now, as much as in these older versions of Minecraft I like just building things, I do like things to kind of have a little bit of cohesion and almost a bit realistic in the way they are made. Like how I said that I want to have a little cafe. I kind of want to take inspiration from real life, you know, in a sense. I don't want it to just directly build without any meaning. As much as I love doing that, and I do build like that, I still want to build just a little bit. Missing a torch there. I feel like it's really dark. But like I was saying, I feel like in a way I still want things to have kind of a little bit of realism, you know? Be just a little bit more creative than just aimlessly building. Alright, now this is a pretty decent sized area. I think I'm going to have it be a little bit of an L-shaped building to, because like I said, this entrance is going to be this way, and then the main entrance is, I want to say, right over here. So this part is going to be a little bit longer, and it's going to back up this way, but I think that'll work out pretty good with what I want to do. Now, I do want the interior to be 1 block in, just to add a little bit more depth to it, because I usually always feel like I build with a flatter area. This is going to be the entrance right here. And then this right here will be the second entrance. It'll trail off just a little bit. Now, in the last video, I don't know if any of you guys saw my post. I know a few people did. I talked about wanting to try this mushroom coffee that I got. And I finally got around to trying it. It kind of took me a while, and I kept saying that I was going to try it, and then I kept putting it off. But eventually, the one morning, I was like, you know what? It's sitting right there. Let me give it a try. And I do have to say, it's quite tasty. It's definitely got an interesting taste. But I do enjoy it. It's definitely something that I would have to get used to. But I do find the taste to be a lot better than most coffee substitutes. And the stuff that I've tried before just has not been good. And I think the mushroom coffee definitely has a lot better of a taste than most alternatives. I do still really want to try yerba mate. It's something on my list of things that I want to get. I think once I get a little bit more money, I'm gonna finally buy all the stuff to make yerba mate, including like the gourd and stuff like that. It's definitely on my kind of like bucket list of things to try, and maybe it will be a good substitute as opposed to usually drinking coffee. And actually, someone in my last video had recommended that I try matcha, and that they said that apparently it's got a similar caffeine effect to yerba mate, and that it's a lot similar in that aspect. And I kind of been looking into it just a little bit. I've been watching some videos, how to prepare it, and kind of what are the benefits, I guess, of it. And it looks really, really good, honestly. And I think that's definitely been added to my list of things that I want to try. And I think that's going to be another thing that I'm going to buy along with the yerba mate stuff. Just kind of trying to see if I can find anything that are supplements to coffee or anything kind of like that. But I am looking really forward to trying that out. I'm always open to trying new things. I really am never too picky about stuff, or at least I try not to be. Because there's definitely a list of things that I will kind of refuse to try. But I think a lot of the things that I won't try are very reasonable in that kind of sense. But I'm usually really open to trying new things. And it's kind of one of my favorite things to do. You know, it changes things up a little bit, especially when it kind of breaks against the routine that, you know, you usually do as a person. And I find that to be kind of, you know, pretty beneficial in every day-to-day life, you know. I think I'm gonna make this a little kind of balcony. Now, like I was saying, I do really enjoy trying new things. I'm never really too picky, you know, or at least I try not to be. I find that you really can't enjoy anything, especially if you are picky. But that's nothing wrong with that. But it's like, at least, you know, you only live once. You kind of have to try everything while you can, you know. I think right here is where I'm going to have the track kind of leave off. So I'm going to leave this area open. They need to have room to have a returning track. So I think right here is where I'm going to do that. And I'll have it kind of spaced apart by 1 block. Yeah, I think I like the way this kind of facade is coming along. I'll definitely think I'll probably add a little bit of detail, maybe with some buttons. And I'll probably put the doors in. I like building kind of two-way entrances so I can put the door on this block so it looks like there's a block gap between each, and it adds a little bit more depth to your entryways. I did it down there and I really like the way it came out, so I wanted to do it for this entrance. Now I have a bunch of wood on me that I'm going to turn into some planks so I could start working on these floors. And now another thing, that Minecraft just turned 16 years old. I believe as of recording this video, it was a couple days ago that it just turned 16, but for me, that is actually insane. Like, I could never have imagined playing this game for that long. And I pretty much played this game for about maybe 14 years of that 16. I was really young when I first started playing, but I have very fond early memories with the game. But it's still mind-boggling that this game is now 16 years old. And that makes me want to ask a question for you guys. Do you guys remember your first experience with Minecraft? And if you do, what was it? What was it like? I would love to hear about everyone's kind of first impressions or first few memories with Minecraft. I know this game means a lot to people, and I know that's why people like me especially kind of flock to, you know, earlier versions of the game. It's because I prefer a lot more simplicity than modern versions, but I also have very fond memories with these early versions because it's what I started playing. Now, I'm currently in the process of trying to find a new job. I've worked at this one place as a manager for I think about 3 years now. I've been there for a while, and I really do enjoy it there. They're very good to me, and it definitely makes things a lot easier with school and scheduling because they're very lenient when it comes to that, and they will kind of really gear towards my schedule, especially when school is so important. But recently, I've just found that it's not making me the amount of money that it needs to be right now. I have a lot of things that I need to pay for and kind of save up for. So I really can't mess around too much with the amount of money that I am making. I think I'm going to put the staircase right here. But as much as I do enjoy being at this job, I have to kind of move on to bigger and better things. You know, you can't stay at one place really forever, and it's not my forever job. Like I said, as much as they have been good to me, it's definitely not a job that I'm going to stay at forever. It's not a career. It's not what I want to do. Finding a new job is kind of hard. Especially I feel like nowadays, everywhere is very picky with people, and I mean rightfully so, but not a lot of people like to work. And so the hiring process kind of takes a lot longer, and sometimes places don't really have many open positions because they kind of take what they can. And now I really don't know what kind of job I want. On top of that, I feel like I would want a job that more is kind of towards what I'm going to school for, which is computer science. But I feel like, especially at the point I am in my life and how my schedule is, I wouldn't be able to do something like that unless I got an internship, which I am going to do at some point. But I don't think I could fit like a job like that in my schedule at the moment, because everywhere really wants full-time workers, and just being a student that's full-time, I just wouldn't have simply enough time throughout any day to work. And so I think that definitely is adding a little bit of strain and concern, is the fact that lots of places that are hiring are only looking for full-time. And while in the summer I can work full-time, it's just something that I'm not fully interested in unless I found something that was perfect. I just think that I need to have a little bit more time to myself, but I'm not opposed to working a lot more hours than I normally do. But, you know, it's something that's stressful, you know, and it takes a toll, you know, because it's like I don't want to quit my job until I find another one. And it's not that I don't enjoy the job I do right now, it's just I'm not making enough money for me to really want to stay. And I think that's definitely adding a strain onto, you know, my work ethic, at least at this place. But it's something that I've kind of been stressing out about a little bit. I know in my last video I talked about how I would potentially need to buy a new graphics card, and it's something I really can't do right now considering the fact that I'm trying to save up money. And I don't think I'm gonna have to buy a new graphics card anymore. I think that was kind of just a one-time thing, and whatever I was doing, I fixed the problem. But it's still a little bit stressful, especially if I need to kind of drop some money on stuff. I really need to be able to do that. And with this job, I feel like, and while I can live comfortably, I just don't really have the funds to be able to drop money on something like that. But it's something that is very stressful, and it can be scary at times, especially when you really rely on that source of income. You know, I've been living comfortably, like I said, so I don't really need to worry about that. But I know a lot of people out there definitely worry. And if you're going through that, I really do feel for you. You know, times do get tough, but we will all get through them eventually, you know. I don't mean to kind of get deep with this conversation. It's just something that I know a lot of people struggle with, and it's something that will definitely put a lot of stress and worry on people's minds. And I guess in a sense, that's kind of why I make the videos that I make. It's just something that I know personally I enjoy to watch and kind of de-stress to. So if I can do that for myself, I want to be able to kind of reciprocate that to an audience, especially if they are stressed or are going through something. I never want people to feel alone, I guess is what I'm mainly trying to say. But I enjoy making this content, and I really do enjoy all the support that I get from it. It really means a lot, and I really look forward to making these videos every week. And it's kind of really lately, at least now that school's over, all I've been really thinking about is getting another video out and being able to put some kind of content out to you guys. It's something that I have loved doing for a little bit, and I want to be able to continue that. So I really do hope you guys find that these videos can help, like they kind of help me. Now, I am going to need some more sand for this. Kind of fill in all these windows. So I'm going to run over here to this desert, and I'm going to grab a decent amount of sand. Now, kind of going back to the topic of coffees and stuff. Ooh, sheep. Like I was saying, kind of going back to the topic of coffees and stuff. Recently, I've been watching a lot of videos about espresso machines and stuff like that. Kind of specifically more of shorts. I've been really addicted to watching shorts about espresso making. Wow, look at this cactus formation. This kind of reminds me of like old ancient Stonehenge. This is actually kind of cool. I've never seen anything like this before. At least so tightly knitted to each other, you know? But yeah, I've been really addicted to kind of watching YouTube shorts about espresso making in different kind of like lattes and the way you make different kind of coffee drinks. And it's really been making me want to try to do the same thing. I talked about it in a previous video that I wanted to eventually at some point get an espresso machine, but they're just so expensive. Even like buying cheaper ones, you know what I mean? And I am pretty sure, at least with espresso machines, it's kind of one of those things that you don't really want to cut any corners with. So, I don't know. Unless any of you guys know any cheap espresso machines, I guess let me know. I've been looking around, but they're, at least the ones that I've been seeing have been kind of pretty expensive. But it always makes me want to try to make these drinks. Like, I feel like I can. I don't want to be too full of myself, but it's something that I always think that I can. Like, always, anytime I see any kind of meal or drink being made, I feel like I could make that. Like, I see that and I'm like, oh, I could do that. Obviously, probably not to the extent that these people make them, because they're, most of the time, they're chefs or professionals in that field. But I always feel like I could recreate it, and it's something I like doing. you know, I kind of find something and then I try to make it, you know? And that's kind of how I've been feeling with these espresso machines. There should be plenty of sand for now. If not, I will come run back over here. But yeah, no, I feel like it's something that I really want to try recreating. I really want to try making my own espresso, because I know it could taste a lot better than normal coffee. And I just think that I would have a lot of fun doing it. Even though I really don't know how to do it, I just think it'd be fun to kind of learn and teach myself. Alright, so I just took a little bit of a break. I was getting hungry, so I made myself very simple chicken and rice. Very tasty. I had some chicken that I had bought the other day, and I didn't want it to go to waste, so I just figured I would make a very quick chicken and rice, and it came out very good. While I was taking a break, I watched a little bit more videos about the differences between yerba mate and matcha, and they both seem very similar. Now, they obviously have their differences, but I still think I'm going to go ahead and get both because I do want to try both. And I do think that each has its own specialties, so I do still want to get both. But, you know, I like knowing about things a little bit prior to buying them. Now, I think I want to have, like, a little counter be right here with slabs. And I'm gonna put a little fridge right here and maybe a furnace right here. And this right here will be where you can come and purchase different food items and drinks and stuff like that. Now recently too, I've kind of mentioned it a couple times briefly in the past, but I've been playing a little bit of modded Minecraft, or at least the kind of versions of Minecraft that branch off. I just recently, for the first time, played the Better Than Adventure mod pack, and I really had a great time playing that. I'm still debating whether or not I want to make content, or if that's something I want to do with this channel. I still like playing my vanilla, but I think it would also be interesting to have something like that. But I'm not sure. I had a lot of fun. I also started playing Reindev. That was another thing that I had talked about in one of my previous videos. But it was another thing that I had talked about previously, because I really like those versions that kind of branch off from beta and in-dev and kind of show, like, what if scenarios, and I really enjoy them both. I'm still kind of a vanilla player. Like, obviously there's some things that I don't like, but I have been enjoying it a lot, and I'm still debating whether or not I want to make some content with that, but I don't know if that's something I want to do with this channel. I think I might want to just stick directly with normal vanilla gameplay. But if that's something you guys would like to see, I would love to do a video on it. Like I said, I had a really good time playing just for fun. And I didn't really do too much in either. I just kind of started a world to see what there was, and it was a nice experience, to say the least. It's really hot in my room right now. It's getting to that point in the year where temperature is fluctuating, at least in Ohio, the state that I live in. And it's very bipolar. So one minute it's very hot, and then the next minute it's kind of freezing cold again. But it's been pretty hot the last couple days, and now it's starting to be cold. So I keep turning off the air conditioning and like the heating every time, you know, because it goes back and forth. And I've had the air conditioning off, and at least right now it's getting pretty steamy in here to the point where I'm a little uncomfortable. So I think I'm gonna have to at some point turn it back on. Not a big deal, but it's a little annoying from time to time. Alright, I'm really liking this design that I have going down here. Now, I'm not entirely the biggest fan of how close this is together, but I do think this looks relatively good. I do want to place some torches, though, on all of this. A lot of people mention that torch spam is a problem, but you know what? Especially in old Minecraft, I really love torch spam. But I still want to be at least a little mindful about where I place some of these torches. Now I am going to fill this in with some glass because this is where I want the door entrance on this side to be. Perfect. And now this is a great way in. So like I said, yeah, I made this a little overhang up here. I'll probably place some fences up there. I think that'll look a lot better once I get that in. And then I think I might outline that roof in some slabs. Now I am about to make a very expensive refrigerator using some iron blocks and a door, but it'll be worth it for the detail. Iron is relatively easy to get, but it is a little bit costly. All right, there's that. That looks pretty good. I like the way this is. Now I do want to place some signs here and kind of write like a menu almost, but I think I want to have maybe add some sign art on these sides, and then these two be one for drinks and one for a couple food items. Gotta do something like this. I don't know. Back then I used to always do a lot of sign art. I feel like I don't really do any now. I feel like I barely use signs. Time to make up some prices, though. Let's see. Let's do a normal water. I think maybe we'll do coffee up here, tea, water, and then we'll do soda. So I'll say for coffee, we'll do $2.50. How about that? Kind of making up these prices. None of this is really realistic to how things actually are. Then for tea, how about $2? A little bit cheaper than coffee. Water will make 50 cents. And then a soda, $1. These prices are a little ludicrous, but it's all right. It's all right. I gotta make them up as I go. Now for food, we'll do, how about a sandwich? If I could spell it right. We'll do soup, a bagel, and then a muffin. Make it sandwich, $5. Soup, $3.50. A bagel will do $1.50. And then a muffin will be, I'll say $1.52. There we go. There's the menu for this little shop down here. I also want to get some paintings made. Just a couple. So I want to put one over here in this corner. Not stuck in that glass. See if we can get it back out here without having to... There we go. So right here, I'll do a painting. Do that. Let's see what else we could do here. Maybe put a 4x4 here. Move this torch over. Put one behind there. Actually, I think I want to do a 1x2 painting here. It's totally not safe at all, but I think I'll put a painting right here, right above the furnace. That's a fire hazard, but it's all right. So I think this is going to be it for this floor. I really like the way this turned out. And now I got to think of what to do for up here. I think up here I want to make it more of like an actual subway station with benches rather than actual tables and stuff like it was down below. So I think I'll add little benches like this. I have to make a few more signs. All right, do kind of like that. Does that look good? Yeah, I like that. I think that looks pretty good. Then I think over in here, I'm gonna add a little section to place some flowers and plants. Then maybe I'll place one single bench right there. I'm also going to make some ladders to add some detail to that. Now, one thing I do have to say that kind of bothers me with these older versions is that when you make ladders, it only gives you one. So you use 7 sticks just for one ladder, unlike newer versions where I believe it's 3 or 4. Now, I have a jar mod on an older version of Alpha that allows me to get 4 ladders, but I've been trying to search for a jar mod for this version of beta that allows me to have 4 ladders when I make them, but I just have not been able to find any mod for it. I just can't find it. And I like I said, I have a lot of experience, at least with some coding, but I've been having a lot of trouble trying to make my own. So I'm kind of at a standstill with that, and I really hope that I could either figure it out or find one that allows me to get 4 ladders, because I feel like it's just such a waste, at least in these older versions. I forget which version they changed the crafting to allow you to get 3. I think it might have been in one of the next versions after this. Currently getting some stuff to plant in there for decorations. I don't have any flowers. I have a couple mushrooms. I think I'm gonna go get a couple flowers. I'm gonna take the rest of this sugar cane to make a couple bookshelves, but I spotted just a few red pixels down there. Can barely see it, but I spotted some roses. Now, walking up here and now looking at this, I think I'm also going to add a second entrance to the sugarcane farm right here. I think that'll look a lot better. So I also have access from this side. I don't know. I think that would just look a lot better than that. Now, I think I'm going to move this one up so I can put, like, maybe a bookshelf here, too. There we go. I like that. I think this turned out pretty nice. I am going to add some paintings, though, for a little bit of extra detail. Put one right there. Put another one right here. Up here, I feel like it's a lot less detailed than down here, but I don't mind it. It's kind of supposed to be less detailed. Now I'm gonna add some fence posts out here. So this could be just like a little lounging area where you can kind of look out at the water. You know, I don't like saying it, but it could also be a little smoking area because I know a lot of places will have stuff like that still. Now, I do want to go out here and kind of light things up just a little bit. Add some torches right where these floors kind of split. Ow. Man, I have crafting tables everywhere. I keep making crafting tables and then I don't pick them up. Now, I do want to get up here, and I think I want to just add a surrounding layer of slabs on this layer of stone, and then light this roof up, and I think that'll be it for pretty much the entire train station. Get some torches up here now. Now, I do think this is going to be the completed train station. I really like how this turned out. It's very simple, but it's got a lot of charm to it. Very old Minecraft kind of esque. I like the inside the most. Kind of little cafe area. And then up here, you know, you got your seats when you're waiting for your train to come, which I think I will definitely try to get done in between videos. I think for right now that this is going to be all the time I have. I have a lot going on right now, especially trying to find a new job. I'm in the process of maybe trying to move somewhere else too. I don't know if that's going to really happen yet, but if it does, it's going to add a little bit more onto the other stuff that I have. So don't worry though. Uploads are going to stay consistent unless I genuinely don't have time to make a video, but this is all the time I kind of have for at least this week. I really just want to say that I appreciate all the support on my videos, all the things you guys say. I read every comment, and I try to respond to most. I appreciate all the nice comments about the videos and all the insight about other stuff that I've talked about in the videos. So thank you guys for your support. If you guys could just do me one favor and like, comment, and subscribe, because it'll help my channel grow a lot more. It'll help me further continue putting out content for you guys and just bettering myself with each video, because I find that each video I kind of learn something new, whether it is about old Minecraft editing or something I talked about in a video. I just like learning about new things, so it'll help the channel grow a lot. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.